Hey guys, welcome back. You probably just watched my episode on 5 different face brushes that I recommend for you all to try. Now we're gonna talk about 5 different eye brushes because again, this is something that a lot of people have asked me about. So you probably heard me say this in the last episode, but I wanna reiterate it that when I'm picking brushes, I think about what job I want them to do as well as my canvas or the area that I'm working in. And I never wanna pick a brush that is too big or gonna deposit too much color, more color than I want to. I would rather choose something that is a little bit more tapered or a little smaller so that I have a little bit of wiggle room to blend something out. It's always easier to add than subtract. So these are my brushes that I'm gonna share with you. The first one is just kind of like a fuller blending brush. Now I actually have 2 different favorite ones that I'm gonna share with you, but you get the idea. One is a little easier for you to get than the other. So the first one I have here is like a TG brush, but it's a slightly fuller, rounder blending brush. The other one I have here is by IT Cosmetics, and IT Cosmetics has some really amazing synthetic brushes, but the job for either one of these is the same. I really like something that's full like this to kind of blend out that initial crease area, and sometimes that's all I like to do, maybe even take my bronzer just to define a tiny bit of a shadow into the crease, and this kind of just lays down the groundwork. You can also just take a base color all over the lid really easily with this, and it just kind of takes away any tackiness, provides a really soft, even canvas for any color to blend on top of. Another thing is once you start placing your color with something a little bit more tapered, if you want to blend out that color or add something to diffuse it a little bit, you do have the ability to do that with something like this. So for a more tapered blending option, especially when it comes to this outer corner and crease, I love something like the MAC 217. If you have a recommendation for something that's more synthetic, because all the ones that kind of fit this size that I have are real hair brushes, and I'm looking for something more on the synthetic side. But something like this is kind of flat on one side, and it's not too fluffy. I like that it fits really nicely behind my lash extensions. It also places color really well. You get a little bit more pigment from this, and then you can really focus that blending, especially if you're doing like a cut crease and you do something like that. I think that something like this works really well. Something else that I find really useful when doing eyeshadow is a pencil brush or something like this. This one is just by Smashbox, and I like that this has a really nice, again, tapered end. This is really good to get underneath the eye, like under your lashes, as well as behind my lash extensions and close to the lash line. And because it's slightly fluffier, you're not gonna get a really harsh line. Like you could if you wanted to use something like this, which is an angled brush, which is another suggestion I would have for you. And this is just an angled brush by Louise Young. And this is a really fine angled brush. Like something like this by EcoTools is a great angled brush, but you can see it's slightly thicker. And I actually bought a few of these Louise Young brushes when I used to fill my brows in with something like Dip Brow by Anastasia, because I felt like it was really easy to mimic those really fine hair strokes with something like this. If you're somebody that likes to do kind of a diffused liner look, something like this is just fine, and you could also do it with something like this. But if you're someone that really likes precision and a really sharp angle, then something like this I feel like is a really great option. And then finally, my last suggestion for a brush is actually a lip brush, but because of my eye shape, and if you want really precision application for a base color, if you're just trying to brighten up that inner corner, for example, or just even in this inner corner right here under the eyes, something of this nature would be something I would recommend. Again, you just want to take into consideration the area that you're working in, and I could absolutely use something bigger like this, but it's just going to be a little harder for me to get directly into that area and perfect the area that I'm trying to work in, or really place the color where I want it with something bigger that's a little bit more cumbersome to work around. So that would just be my final suggestion for an eye brush. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope that this was somewhat helpful for those of you who were asking what kind of brushes I like to use. I would try and link, or if at least find options for you down below, because some of these I feel like might be harder to find. Like this one I know is a TG brush, so I don't know if these are still available, but hope that this was helpful nonetheless. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.